without further ado, it's Erkan who's going to do us a genius slot. I'm not quite sure what it's titled yet.
Great.
But we'll find out in a minute.
Lovely. Thank you. For our guests today, Terry, the genius slot is, well, the known be known is really what you're kind of educating the group and in your specialist area of knowledge, raises your profile, it adds value to the people in the room, and now you've got a good idea of what Claudia's doing in life, and usually it's linked to what people are doing in their professions or in their work, not always. The genius slot was kind of named after the Be Inspired programme. And the genius slot was, in the early days, I used to do the whole 3 hours of the meeting. No, 4 hours. I used to do the introduction, then the whole meeting. And slowly it changed where I got the genius slot. And I was kind of resident genius, right? Now, the genius slot is about sharing the wacky, the more philosophical. Really, it could be experimental. You don't have to be you don't have to have the subject pat down. It's something where you're exploring something with the audience, and it could be centered around certain principles or discipline, or maybe you're exploring certain scientific methods. And it's not that you've got all the answers, but you're actually engaging the room and having the room think about things maybe in a different way, purely for the hell of it. Not to impress, not to get it right, and it gives us a chance to explore. Because when we're presenting, quite often we want to give something that's been worked out, and I know what I'm talking about, and here it is. Okay, Genius gives us something to explore and experiment and maybe test something here that you could take out elsewhere and maybe get some feedback from a very committed audience. So that's the idea of the Genius slot. The title of my talk is Why the Context of Collaboration is Everything. And I think it's quite a provocative, bold statement. Why would I say that? I mean, those of you who've been around enough of my talks, but maybe Terry, why could collaboration, the context of collaboration, be everything? No right answer. Don't feel pressured. Just whatever comes to mind.
The context of any meeting is going to reflect on what happens within it. So, why wouldn't it? It's actually my reply.
So context in itself is almost enough. What is the context? Let alone just.
Bother what you're trying to do. What's the context of what you're trying to do?
And then bolt onto that collaboration or love or whatever. So the power of that is you're saying.
Wouldn't it be everything?
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Good. No, good. Not bad. Anyone else? Anyone else hear something new or something kind of okay, I've got something about anything. Well, okay, cool. We'll carry on. Right, so we've got the left brain. And the left brain is kind of very analytical, very methodical. It kind of, imagine with bookkeeping or technical or kind of intricate information being managed, the left brain is really fantastic at that. It's very linear in its approach, very past, future, detail driven, and process driven. It has an order. It has what I say about the left brain is the left brain got you here. It sorted out your schedule. It kind of told you what time to leave. It got you to manage the route, what you had to plan, where to park. It kind of does all that for you. And without it, you probably wouldn't even get through the door. The right brain, on the other hand, I would assert, is why you're here. And there's something, going back to your question, I came here last time, there was something going on, what I heard is there was an energy or there was something going on in the room and I couldn't work out how to connect to it. And I don't think that's the case now. I can, just how I've experienced you, what little I've experienced is like, well, you're right in the space of what this is all about. So the right brain is kind of where we feel very connected to the whole. Going back to Claudia's piece in Known Be Known, is having this understanding that we're all one, we're all part of the same thing. You move this over here, something gets impacted over there. And I think a lot of what we've been conditioned, especially into the left brain, is very much gets us experiencing life in separation and in competition, and there's other things that come with that. The other thing with the left brain, there's a great author called Tony Wright, wrote a book called Left in the Dark, and they changed the name of that book to something like the brain of Eden, or the brain of Garden of Eden. And we are heavily conditioned into the left brain, you know? And that, I think that really marries up with that energy. You know, when you feel connected and you're with other people, you go to a party, you feel part of something, you're with your family, your energy rises. When you feel disconnected and, you know, separate, there's a different energy with that. And I think there's something very powerful about engaging our right brain. So we talk a lot about that in BeCollaboration. The other thing we talk about a lot is the heart conversation. Who here, and this is a smart crowd, right? But who here is aware that the heart actually has brain cells in it? Yeah, okay, good. So when we talk about the right brain and the heart conversation, they're very linked. Our heart is very intuitive. It has a very, and I'm not saying it's factual, I'm just sharing as a genius slot that our heart, have you ever kind of your head says yes, but your heart says no, or whatever, the other way around? And we make a lot of decisions, or good or right decisions for us, or wrong decisions. A lot of people, I'd say, get involved with BeCollaboration and they don't know really why they did. It's just something appealed to their heart, their sense of purpose, their sense of connection, and they go, I want to be part of this. Jill and I, over the years, people say, I still don't know why, but it just feels right. And I say, well, then you're obviously operating from some kind of sense of innate wisdom or innate connection to what's going on in this conversation. And I'd say it's very much a heart conversation. The other thing, again, going back to context, is this idea of our lenses, our filters shape our reality. Pretty much bang on what Claudia was saying. You master your
self,
and you
master your reality.
Right. Now, I would assert that a lot of self-mastery is to do with what lenses, what filters, what context are you operating from. Said a different way, maybe, but kind of comes around to the same experience. Now, who here, and I want you to really, there's no good boy, good girl answer, but who here really manages context? Like when you walk into a room, or you go to an event, or you're going to somewhere, or you're going to see a client, how often do you actually manage context?
I take quite a lot of the time, actually.
And great, okay, and how does that look for you?
Well, again, when you shoot about it, that's born directly from BeCollaboration is that wherever I walk in a room, so I walk in the car from here, before I walk here, is that I choose who I'm being in that room.
So,
and then I do that around, so when I go into client meetings, if I'm going to a client meeting and 5 minutes away, I'll turn off my audio book or whatever like that, so that I'm deciding what context is going to go on in that time.
So can I use a word more powerful than deciding? Choosing? So you may choose, like what kind of context could you, or do you choose before you walk in a room?
Well, it depends on what room I'm walking into.
No, but you come to a point where you go, I'm walking in this room and I'm walking in with a context. What kind of contexts are you choosing?
Well, the three that come up with in the Jill project, I did the Essex stuff. So being a leader, because it's got natural people in me. So
Great.
Be a leader. The inspiring, because that's a big thing about me, inspiring people to do stuff. And then when it's authentic.
So it's almost like you're going somewhere and you're suiting up. I'm going in with the context of leadership. I'm going in with the context to inspire others or be inspiring.
Just an example, like I just said, funny enough, the BRX meeting that I got to, like BNI, one of these type of things. They've got the chairman and all that sort of thing. I'm none of them positions. I look after referral slips and all. But everyone comes to me for everything. Even the people that have been there like 12, 15 years, they always have a committee meeting and no one said, "There's Scott, can you get one sit down?" I said, "Well, why should I do it?" They go, "Well, they listen to you, Scott." But what it is, it's not that they listen to me, it's that I'm going in that room being a leader.
Yeah. And then the room.
I don't need a job title to be that leader.
No, and that's really great. So that's great. You just gave us some gold there. So what you're saying is you go in, actively create the context of leader. There's some actions, because we live in the world of action. We move in reality. And then something feeds back that goes, oh, people will listen to me, and that will demonstrate that I have created the result.
Normally the room's not set up properly I'll go like, Sam, can you sort this room out for us quickly before anyone gets in it?
And that will shape, that will inform, that will influence your actions, what you say, and even think about a context like this. Context, if not managed, is there before you are. So context not managed is there before you are. So if I say car dealer, what's immediately there? Yeah. And then you could go, but not all car dealers are that bad. The car dealer, oh yes they are. Yeah. So what will be there before you're there is context. What we're doing is starting to introduce context as a manageable, intuitively chosen and practiced way of being. Now I could sit there, for me personally, listen to Claudia, everything she said, I would say very little of it I haven't heard before. And my ego could sit there going, well, I know this already, I might as well switch off and think about tomorrow. That wouldn't honour Claudia, would it? And I think we addressed it at the beginning of the meeting, is listen for gold, listen for what's going to make a difference, listen for what and that is an active process. Now, obviously, I've been doing this a long time. I've sat in a lot of rooms and I've heard, not only have I heard some of the things Claudia said before, but I've heard her say them before. And Jill quite often shares that, she's heard me say so many of our things, but how do you generate a context where you still extract value and honour the gift that is Claudia that was today? That takes some level of intention. That takes intention. And intention will draw out things that you would never have got. You, Terry, that word integrity, getting grit in integrity, if I've heard it before, I have no idea that I have. So bang, I'm driving home going grit. And a whole load of what you were saying, So this room isn't a passive room. This isn't television. In that moment of context and filters, we can invent, what did you say? Invent your
reality.
And
no, master yourself and you master your reality.
But exactly what you're doing is inventing your reality, aren't you? You are the author of how this is going. Said another way, yeah. Now that, in a room of 6 of us at the moment, but that in a community of thousands is, going back to what you said, that those people in that higher level of energy and intention is how we're going to transform the planet. So context is key. Context is key, and we say that in a lot of places at BeCollaboration. We use the model Be, Do, Have. Now my experience of businesses, and if you look at accounts, is a really good example. I use accounts and former accountant, right? Yep. Is a lot of the time business owners, a lot of corporate type thinking is very much in the result. What result we got? What result we got? What result we got? What do we have to do to shift the result? And quite often it'll be, let's change the way we're doing it, let's do it a different way. They even talk about change the thinking. Blue sky thinking, let's brainstorm. But a lot of that, what I experience is a lot of that is in the do. Let's do thinking. Do you know what I mean? You're laughing. Is that laughter recognition?
You can't do thinking.
No, you can't. You can't do thinking.
I wish you could.
No, but have you noticed how many businesses and organisations try and do thinking? They have a theory and they try and prove it out.
You said that little diagram, didn't you, about getting that box and the instruction, didn't you? About getting that box and thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
That little diagram.
Yeah, I can't remember that actually, to be honest with you. But in terms of context, we're talking about being. We're talking about context. So when we walk in a room, who are we being as a creation, as an invention, as an active way of being? How we listen to Stuart when he gets up in the front of the room? How and who is listening to me right now? I promise you, some of the people here have heard all this before. So they're really trying to work out, do I listen like I know it all already, where the ego will go, well, I've heard this before, Erkan, yes, you said it many times, or are you going to find something new? That will make you go, and I found something new in something that I was sitting there going, I'm not going to find anything new, I'm not going to find anything new. That's my ego. My commitment is to go away with value for me as well, not just be here for the room. Our vision at BeCollaboration is we bring together talent, technical ability, and visionary thinking to empower individuals and organisations. We are passionate about impacting human performance, and we do this with velocity, compassion, humour and love. Who's heard that one before? Have you seen that before?
Because I've watched the video that I'm supposed to have watched before coming. Yes, I've
So
seen
you're familiar with that, right?
Already.
Great. This is not the same introduction, by the way.
No, it's not quite.
This is not. The way we've distinguished collaboration, or the way the traditional view of collaboration is to work with others, shared objectives to produce something. So kind of the way we kind of think of it, or treacherous cooperation with an enemy. That's the other way people sometimes think of collaboration. Treacherous. You know, Nazi collaborators and, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So it does come with some baggage. We've not shown this to these guys. You've seen this, they haven't. So our definition of collaboration, a new view, is one, humanity at its best. Us, at those high levels, that enlightenment, that love, that generosity, that commitment to others' lives. You know? That. When someone pulls out and you let them go in front of you, rather than you, and we'll do both because we're human. But when we're in that enlightened moment, in that point of being where we are actually forwarding all of that. In the last quest I wrote about money, and I talked about how do we transform the money system. I said let people out in traffic, say thank you, smile. You know, going back to the energy thing, you know, like if we're putting out that energy, that again contributes to the whole collective, 100th monkey, or, you know, that tipping point, whatever. Who's got a different way of explaining that? I bet. Momentum. How would you say it? How would you say it, Claudia?
I would just say it's collective consciousness.
So that building up that collective consciousness. And there's something about people at 700 are influences 70,000. I think you said 70,000.
70 million.
70 million.
One person on the 700 calibration influences 70 million people.
Wow, that's a context.
They balance it out.
Yeah. Now think about it, how much resources, money, effort is going into keeping people at the 20s and the 30s and the 50s. Our media, our news, our education, our money, all the video that Claudia showed. The way we've defined collaboration and collaboration as a valid tool of operating. Are you collaborating? See, and I'm going to distinguish 3 levels of how to collaborate within BeCollaboration. But are we doing this, guys? You know, so we've said an endeavour with 3 or more people that produces something of value that makes a difference to all involved that otherwise would not exist. Who's doing that regularly? Are you? Yeah, Quest is a good example of that.
Yeah.
And it kind of came together magic. I know it always looks easy from the outside, but it's been a lot of hard work as well, hasn't it? Yeah, but it's kind of I'm going to talk about self-organising today as well. We'll kind of get to that in a minute. So who else is anyone here struggling to collaborate? Like, I try and collaborate, just doesn't seem to work, doesn't get into the flow, don't seem to get into the rhythm.
I struggle out of the room to actually, because in the normal world, because I mean, people, when they think of collaboration, they haven't come like BeCollaboration or anything like that. Their idea of collaboration is actually what a joint venture is, because they think they can collaborate with us to make more money.
Yes. So it's a fix or
it's not. It's about making something better than what it could be by doing it on your own. So I struggle still with the outside world, if you like. It normally ends up me having a conversation to them about what collaboration is and what joint venture is, and they're different.
Are they hearing you?
I would say a lot of them are not, you know. Probably, you know, the other ones that do, and the ones that don't, you should come along and be collaboration.
Yeah. Okay, consider that it's not them. Not that it's true, but because the other one, we're propagating collaboration. We're saying in this talk that collaboration is everything. Context of collaboration, everything. So finding the language that people can hear is really key, because otherwise if they can't hear you, it doesn't matter what you're saying, does it? If Claudia ran out into the street now, went to the bus stop and started saying those things you just said, probably, I don't know what your experience is, but probably not everyone's going, oh wow, yeah, I really get that, it's really cool. They'll probably go, huh? What are you talking about?
I did enjoy the challenge.
I did
Probably
the
the
challenge
challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The people in the white coats are coming.
So how do we find that? I'm going to give you something around that. How do we create that language so people can hear us? Because
Create conditions where they can actually listen.
yes, yes,
Oh, that's even more key.
yes,
How do you create the environments they're actually listening, right? That's what you said.
yeah.
That's really key.
So one way you could describe communication is not what you say, is what is heard. Because it's about what I'm saying, does it?
Or what is felt.
Yeah, well, yeah, yes. But if I'm blah, 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 and you're going, I don't know what he's talking about, who's that down to?
Both.
Well, no, not in the world of context. Because in the world of context, we say, right, who am I being that you wouldn't hear me? Because it's over here, because I'm setting the context. Great. Good. So the other thing, why is it 3 people? Why 3 people? And this is about the best. We're having our own artwork made up, Scott. This is as far as I've got. But this is the only diagram I've found that demonstrates the 3D principle. Why 3? Because, huh? What's about the bell? So the idea is actually we've all got a different perspective, and we could argue till we're blue in the face which one's right, but they're all true. They're all a representation of what is there, and they're all different disciplines. Okay? So that is key. Is having those other views is key to collaborate. Otherwise, you're just doing something with other people that agree with what you're doing.
And it's all the same.
And that's not collaboration, that's teamwork, that's JV, that's cooperation. Collaboration devours some friction. You should have some friction. Because you get something you wouldn't otherwise get. And what happens is people start a collaboration, they go, oh, you know what, forget it. How many people have done that? Now, for many reasons. It might be just the flow's not there, the alignment isn't there, the values aren't there. But are we inviting the different perspectives in a way that forward things? I love this picture, you know. So there's ideas, they've all got different views, they've all got a different way of internalising the information, and they're all engaged with something. What will come out of it? This is what BeCollaboration allows us to do. They're giving us that format, that forum to really engage ideas and challenge our thinking. Because as much as we say we love being challenged, do we really love it? I'd rather just everyone agree with me, really. If I could go la 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 la, and everyone goes, brilliant, let's do it, I'd be really happy. Reality is it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it does. Yeah. But I'm talking about from identity, Scott. You know, like ultimately, you like to go, all those people that you're trying to get them to collaborate, you just open your mouth and they go, yeah, it's great, let's do it. But they're not, are they? Now, the sperm and the egg is where every idea, I think there's a conception of an idea. There's this thing where something comes to you. We talked about the sperm earlier, didn't we? Today.
I much prefer that slide. It's not competitive like the reality, but there's a million of them trying to beat that bugger there.
You know, and I guess I'm talking to everyone here, but I know some of you have heard this in one way. But Terry, you know, like, why would you be in this community? Because you've got, and it's not because I know you, it's not because I'm buttering you up, but you're a human being and you're obviously smart, right? You're obviously smart, right? So how many of those smart ideas and concepts, Rihanna, have you had that have fallen by the wayside, that haven't been nurtured? How many of those? I'm going to read you a piece that I wrote for the prologue for the new book. It hasn't gone official yet, but I want to read it to share it. But how many of those things have we left? How many things are we going to leave on the table? You know, on one level, when we was clearing and getting ready for the meeting, we all talk about how much stuff we've got on and how many things. And I'm like, well, I want to have loads on. I want to be all used up in my life. I don't want to get to the end of my life and say, I wish I'd done. Well, they say that the worst thing that people have at the end of their life is regret. You know, I mean, you've probably been closer to that than anyone in the room recently. You know, my friend went through, and he said, you know, I regret I never cook. Still doesn't now. He's got through it. But Paul, yeah. You know, he said, I wish I'd. Yeah, he said, I wish I'm going to learn how to cook on his deathbed, basically. Quadruple bypass on the bed. I'm going to cook. I said, have you started cooking? He said, no. I said, okay, fine.
Morphine to come out with it?
Yeah, I think he was high on morphine.
Oh, right.
So the time is now. If we going back again to what Scott said about, and he kind of brought into the mix, is like when you go out to talk to people about collaborating, the context that's out there that people don't know is out there, and it's managed and manipulated, and we're complicit, is fear, scarcity and competition. So we want to collaborate with people, but if I start sharing my ideas, oh, well, you might nick them. Or you go and do it with someone else. So I'm going to hold a bit back. And then you probably doing the same. And if Scott's doing the same, then are we really collaborating? You know, this all-encompassing context is incredibly impacting us at the level of energy. Just going back to the video that Claudia was showing. The way our money works, the way we think of success, the way we think about authority, the way we think about the planet. What about when we're in survival? How collaborative are we then? You know, who's missed a mortgage payment recently, or being chased for tax payments, or got a customer knocking on your door wanting to sue you? Are we all love and light in that moment, or are we defending ourselves and holding back? You know, when the chips are down, this is really easy to stimulate in people. And it's very easy for us to go back to those base core, they're all core, I guess, but go back to those base low vibrations. One word could trigger you. Who here gets triggered? Come on.
We all do.
Yeah, of course we do. Bang, straight back down. Below that, was it 200 mark?
Yeah.
Don't we? Boom.
But it's about being aware of it and knowing how to then, because they say it's not the stress that kills you, it's how you deal with the stress.
Sure. But you've worked how long on this?
Yeah, a long time.
You said is everybody blah, 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 but I bet no one in the room could say they're all that way. Well, I think there's something, for me, I think there's something about mastery is when you do get annoyed with someone and then you clean it up. That to me is beautiful. Getting not annoyed is okay. That's okay. You got annoyed, you got triggered, you got hooked. Yeah, well, that keeps you grounded.
When you catch yourself, you think and rectify it.
It's definition, it's purely definition. It's how it's redefining yourself in any instant.
In that moment.
That's what I was saying about, people's consciousness is rising, increasing, expanding, whatever. It's not that you instantly become a better person, and more loving, and more tolerant. And it's about what happens is your self-awareness expands massively, so you know that not to think on a 3D level anymore. You know, it's about changing your thoughts, and how you change your thoughts changes your whole perception of reality. That building is always going to be that building. You might see it in a different light now.
What do we think that this paradigm of fear, scarcity, competition is doing to humanity?
Oh yeah, it's
just
controlling them.
Yeah.
It's controlling them. It's i.e. you're not as powerful as you think you are.
So we talk about this transformation from, you know, the caterpillar breakdown to the butterfly, and you know what the butterfly knows of the world. Now I've been doing I do quite a lot of research, and I get into very, very esoteric, very woo-woo subjects. And one of them I got recently into was trauma-based mind control. Has anyone heard of trauma-based mind control? Go Google it.
Trauma-based mind control.
Yeah, you do? You're aware of trauma-based mind control? So it's very prevalent in a lot of areas at the higher levels of, we look at, I don't want to go like this is how it is, this is what my research has shown me, right? And we've used the butterfly symbol for a long time around the idea of transformation from caterpillar to butterfly. Caterpillar walks along the